So I lived in three countries. Japan, where I was born and raised, America for college and for the first year of my career, and then now Portugal. Today, I thought it's gonna be fun to make a video where I compare America versus Portugal from my perspective as a Japanese person. A little disclaimer, I know America is such a big country. I've only lived in California, so my opinion and perspective is based on my experience of living in California. So when I was in the US, I went to see a baseball game, because San Francisco Giants was really popular in San Francisco, obviously, and I wanted to see them. And I had a lot of fun, but I was so surprised that people almost like on purpose leave trash when the game is over and when they leave. Same thing when I went to music festivals, people almost purposely leave trash on the floor because their claim is that, well, there are people who clean up those trash, so therefore it's their job to clean up the trash. And I was so shocked when I heard this because I had just never thought that way before. In Japan, from really early age, we learn to take care of ourselves and clean up after ourselves regardless of where we are, right? I think in Portugal in general, people are definitely closer to how Japanese people are. I don't see people leaving trash in public areas. Even if I go to like public restroom, they're quite clean. And next, we're gonna talk about racism. Ooh, spicy. But before talking about that, let me introduce you to today's sponsor. So I learned English as a second language, and I do get a lot of compliments on my English on a daily basis. Some people get really surprised when they find out that I was born and raised in Japan and I went to a normal public school. And one of the biggest reasons why I can communicate to you in English like this is because I immerse myself into the language, which leads me to today's sponsor, Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is an only one language platform that uses dynamic immersion methods, and they offer everything you need: immersive lessons, live stream classes, and a library of contents for you to explore. You can skip those boring vocab lists and learn the language like you do in the real life. What I like about Rosetta Stone is that you can start speaking right away regardless of your level.
こんにちは。
Their true accent technology gives you an immediate feedback on your pronunciation with their help of native speakers. You can feel more confident speaking the language even as a beginner. When I was about to start teaching Japanese, I talked to so many of my subscribers who are learning Japanese or are interested in learning Japanese to understand their biggest challenge, their biggest pain. And almost everybody said time. I really like that Rosetta Stone offers immersive lessons as short as 5 minutes so that you can practice the language every single day no matter how busy you are. I partnered up with them to give you guys a special discount. You can click the exclusive link in my description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen to get over 60% off an unlimited language lifetime subscription, or only $99 for a lifetime with a single language. On top of that, they have a holiday deal going on. You can give someone you love the gift of lifelong learning with Rosetta Stone by using their Give as a Gift button. Thank you, Rosetta Stone, for partnering with me on this video, and let me know what language you're looking to learn in the comment below. And next, we're going to talk about racism. Ooh, spicy. So in the US, I've never experienced a racism, to be honest. I don't think I've ever been discriminated against anything, probably because I was in San Francisco, California, where like Asians are almost majority. And so yeah, I never really experienced racism, even though I know that it would be a different story if I was in the middle of nowhere in the US. I think in Europe in general, people are definitely more racist if you go to like countryside. I noticed that not everybody, but Portuguese people seem to be very openly racist. Like they don't even try to hide it. Whereas like in the US, some people, they might have those thoughts, but they choose not to share that with me. Because every time I make a video related to Portugal, and a lot of them are nice, like a lot of you guys are very, very nice, but I do always get comments like, oh, if you're in Portugal, speak Portuguese, or go back to your country. Or if I talk about realities of living here, for example, they're like, oh, that's because of the immigrants. They seem to not really care about being racist as much here. So I guess it's a bit of a norm to express that. I'm not sure. But with that being said, Japanese people can be absolutely racist as well. But I think it's mostly coming from them being so ignorant. So we learned English from really early age. So we all had like English textbooks. On the textbook, they only had like mainly like white people as American and maybe some black people, right? So when I first met Asian American, I was so confused. I did not understand that some people can be American but don't look white or black. So yeah, Japan needs to definitely improve education to educate the young people that the world is kind of big and the rest of the world is kind of diverse. Not every country is like Japan where most of the population is genetically Japanese. And I think I was so ignorant when I first moved to the US. I cannot thank my friends enough for keeping up with me. I remember they were explaining to me like why I shouldn't say certain things or how certain things are in the US, and I'm so grateful that they were so patient with me and they told me the way it works in the US. Also, in Japan, we have absolutely no tolerance towards people who break rules. For example, a lot of tourists, they leave trash on the streets or they drink alcohol on the street and they leave the trash, and people absolutely like cuss them out. So I think Japanese people have absolutely no tolerance when it comes to people coming in and breaking rules. And some people could be honestly straight up racist as well, not gonna lie. So next, let's talk about education. I looked at smartest countries 2025 by World Population Review, and number one country with the highest average IQ is Japan, which makes me really, really happy. So I think when it comes to Japanese education system, they're really, really good at raising a very average human that is good at like everything in average. But I don't see a lot of Japanese people with like one excellent skill. Another thing Japan is really good at is teaching how to organize things. Growing up, I thought I am not that organized, but I think when you're a not so organized person in Japan, that means like from the rest of the world perspective, you're one of the most organized person, which is I think is really funny. Another thing Japan is good at is teaching discipline. I think Japanese people are one of the most disciplined people, and that is why you don't see a lot of like trash on the streets and everybody is kind of following the rules that we have as a society. I think discipline is what makes Japan Japan. Another interesting point is that going to four-year university in Japan is like very common. So in Japan, over 59% of high school grads go to four-year university. And if we include community colleges and specialty schools, the percentage goes up to 87%. So 87% of high school grads go to higher education, which I think is a very, very high score compared to other countries. Portugal doesn't seem to rank that high, which I don't know why. All the people that I met here seem to be very smart and intelligent and articulate. My guess is that maybe there's a gap of the education that you can receive depending on how much your household income is, depending on your social economics, because all the people that I've met here, they live in Lisbon. That means they need to make a certain amount of money. So that might be different if I go to like rural areas and countryside. Also, I looked it up and there seems to be a decline in student performance in math and science. And I think that Asian people might be able to help with that. One fun fact, when I moved to the US, one thing I was so shocked was that they made me buy a calculator for a math class and I was so confused about it. I'm like, what's the point of learning math if you're using a calculator? Like, that didn't make sense to me at all. I had never ever used a calculator to solve math problems in my entire life until I entered university in the US, and I thought that was really, really funny. I think American education system, they do really well on focusing on the student's strength. I think they're really good at raising kids who have one thing that they're like excellent at, if that makes sense. Because in Japan, they usually look at the weakness of the students and they try to increase the overall average of the IQ. Whereas in the US, if the student has a special talent of some sort, I think they are really good at helping the students to really focus and improve on the special skill. Also, in terms of business and entrepreneurship, America definitely does a way better job comparing to Portugal and Japan as well, in my opinion. So one thing that I noticed when I moved to Portugal is that a lot of Europeans are kind of hating on Americans, specifically like American tourists, which I almost feel bad about, because to be honest, American people that I met are one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. Because I was in California, a lot of my friends were kids of immigrants. They were incredibly hardworking, they are very smart, and just studying and working really hard in general. My guess is that because they saw their parents struggling trying to provide the best possible for them, they were more kind and understanding towards international people like me, for example, who wasn't born and raised in America and didn't speak as good English as them. I think American people also have excellent communication skills. Not all of them, but I think overall in average. And although a lot of people say that they don't like small talks, I actually really miss that from my days in the US. I enjoy talking about the weather with random people or people complimenting my outfit. So yeah, I actually kind of miss the small talk culture of the US. People in Portugal so far have been very, very nice and kind to me as well. They're probably a little bit more shy comparing to American people, but they're all very nice and kind and quite friendly as well. So my mom was visiting me from Japan, and one thing that she pointed out was that a lot of people in the service industry, for example, like waitress and servers, they were really, really nice to us, and they are just nice to customers in general. I know it's their job and I know that they're getting paid, but it's not like they're getting a lot of tips from customers like in the US, right? So they're not bribed in that way, but they still try their best to be kind and polite to customers, which she was really, really happy about.
What is it made of? Sugar, right? Straw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, you need to grind it for the
Okay. Thank you.
That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you like and subscribe so that I can see you again in the next video. Bye!